been coming to Superzoo for 10 years, and I've seen the changes in the growth, and that's even in myself, starting in the industry at 23. But I would say from the planning side, since I like to talk about money and profits and your business, is that as a buyer coming to a show, not only do you have a plan, but it shouldn't just be about how much room I have left on my credit cards to go and get these vendors. And I've been there, I've been that person, but it's really important to, if you don't have the cash flow right now to do the buying, to use the time to strategize and plan about how you're going to spend your money in the next 6 months ahead, and finding the right vendors you want to work with, and building relationships with those vendors, because the vendors are happy to build relationships with you as buyers. Because if you're not open for business, then their brands aren't being seen by consumers. So I just say, have a plan how to spend your money, and don't spend money you don't have.
Great. To add to that, I think having a plan before you even enter the trade show season to begin with, understanding what your whole calendar for the whole year looks like, knowing that you're going to have particular specials or promotions, and having a strategy around that, and understanding maybe what the themes are by month, and gearing up your product mix, your promotions, and the opportunities for that particular month, so that you can engage your customers around a particular theme, and then seeking out the vendors along those lines as well. I'm going to definitely concur with what both Phil and Candace were saying in terms of prep for self-care, because this is a very exhausting show, particularly if you're traveling, getting good sleep and trying not to stay out too late, and definitely hydrating for sure. And then also understanding that as a buyer, you're able to ask for things. We are willing to negotiate with you. As Candace said, we want to see you in business. We want to help you succeed, and we are willing to put together and work with you ideas and concepts that will help ensure the success of any product going into your store, but ultimately your success overall as well.
I too agree with them on these shoes. That's huge, and clearly I do. And staying hydrated, but also to know that we are here, as a vendor, we're here, we want to meet you, we want to know what you need, because that can help us give you a better bottom line. So just feel free to dialogue, because that's why we're here, that's why we have these meetings, because we really want to connect with everybody.
So I'm actually here as an attendee this year, and I'm walking the booths, and I'm meeting everyone, and something that worked so well for me, a couple of things. One is definitely the comfortable shoes. The other is just doing your research beforehand. I was on the Superzoo website, and I went through every single one of the vendors. I looked at everyone's website, and I had a plan of attack of who I wanted to speak with, so that it took the thousands and thousands and thousands of vendors and really narrowed it down. And that's because you have a good idea of what it is that they're doing, so you can go to them and speak to them a little bit better than you would if they were just wanted a million. And then the other thing is I brought my husband along, who has been an amazing helper. So it's really wonderful just to have that other person that can help you sort through everything, keep you on track, help with notes and all of that.
Carry the bag.
Carry the bag.
I've worn several hats. I've been an exhibitor, and I've attended shows. This time I'm attendee, but I'd say I agree. Determine a strategy of what you want to see, who specifically you want to see, and try to get some things scheduled. But I would say a third thing would be try to be a little bit flexible. Get some flexible time in there for some new things that, unexpected new things that you want to see. Because it's always surprising. With the new product showcase, for example, I always think that really well. So those would be my points.
To tell you the truth, I can't remember what the original question was. I have a few things that I can share. This is also around my 10th year in the business. This is my 13th year. We've worked many shows. We've had Ringo 3.5 years, and he's worked this show. This is his 3rd year, so we've been busy. I think everybody should have a booth dog, or cat, or animal at their booth, because it
both sides, whether you're exhibiting, whether you're attending, and the flights and the hotels and all that stuff. So I guess the question is, what do you think is a reasonable expectation for return on investment? And whether you're an exhibitor or an attendee, how do you determine if it was worth it and whether or not you should come back?
That's a very good question, and one that Rich and I talk about often. Once we've done a show, you don't really know what you're going to get back unless you follow through with all the people that you met. And that is the biggest challenge, is to really follow through. And if you don't get a hold of somebody the first time, you need a plan to come back and contact again, whether by phone or email or however you want to do it. But it's all about the follow through and the contacts that you've made, and that will determine if you get your money back. Easy.
I just, operating a communications firm, publishing a website, being in the digital space, I've been in the business for so long, I just don't think there's ever a show that I don't think I've got a return on my investment, be it from networking, be it from sales, and so on. I usually know within 90 days, what kind of return I'm going to get, because I'm on to the next show.
The major return on investment that I'm looking for are just relationships. I'm here to talk to people. I want to get to know you, and I want to fall in love with you, and I want you to fall in love with me and my work. And that all starts with just a simple hello. It's kind of tricky to tell exactly what that return is going to be, because especially with something like photography, it's not something that people just jump right in and purchase. You usually have to think about it, we have conversations, and all of that. So it's just about starting those relationships, starting those conversations, and again, following through and making sure that you touch base with the people who you serve.
I think it is all relationship building, and as we work together, and out of my head. It's hard to know exactly, because some of the things, what a person you may touch today, you may not have anything happen for the next 6 months to a year. So it's really hard to monetize. Was this valuable? But I think every single person you meet helps, and then you don't know if the person you meet here is going to connect you over here. So be very open to talk to people that you may not even think that's the right connection for you. They're not a buyer, but you don't know who they know that knows, and then it kind of snowballs down. So I think that's an important thing.
Of course, I agree with everybody and what they've currently said, and I think to add to that, in addition to it being a relationship building opportunity, it's also a learning opportunity for both parties, the exhibitors as well as the attendees. I view it every event that I ever go to, whether it's a networking event or a particular trade show, I'm learning. I'm learning from the people that I meet, I'm learning from the other vendors that I see, I'm learning the trends, and I'm learning what I need to do to stay relevant and hopefully build relationships that continue on both parts, whether it's collaborative work that I can do later on to benefit charities or other businesses, but also, as Penny was saying, as Julie reiterated, oftentimes you don't see that immediate return, and some of the best customers that we have built relationships with have been cultivated over a period of years. And so the follow-up is really, really critical, and I think that's an area where most people tend to forget, and you need to follow through and follow up, not just with customers, but with the people that you meet, and cultivate those relationships so they're strong.
I made that mistake last year. I exhibited here and I got all these leads, and I didn't really know what I was selling yet. I knew I needed leads, and I'd spent most of my career as a retailer and doggy daycare provider, and now I'm offering business consulting, so I had no B2B list, and I invested a lot of money last year. I got a lot of leads, and I didn't do follow-up, but as much as I could and should have. This year, though, we've got a bigger booth, made even a bigger investment, and this year I am following up. But I would say that to everybody in the room, I really feel like you should hopefully feel like you already have seen a return on your investment, because to be honest, if you look at how big the pet industry is, there are so many people who didn't even travel to Vegas, period. And they're missing out on seeing all the latest things. They're missing out on these conversations. They're missing out on being here. I mean, think about all of the other people who are, yeah, they're at parties, or they're gambling, or they're at dinner, but they're not learning. And you've chosen to come here and learn. And whether you picked up one little nugget, maybe one little relationship, again, to everyone's point, it takes time to see the fruition of that. But I really think that everyone here is already getting their ROI.
It's our tough to follow. I think everything you've heard is great. I think the one thing to kind of round out from even the last answers was you tie your results to your prep work, right? So the more you prep ahead of time, you should be measuring versus what you prepped, right? So if you prepare properly and you hit all the boosts that you're trying to hit, you're trying to convert a sale and you got that sale, those are things you can measure. I think the really cool things that this group does is the networking that happens here, it manifests itself in so many ways, right? There's such a grassroots movement. We're all fans of each other's work, and I think the thing in this group that makes it so powerful is you're not just fans, right? So we don't sit here and go, we love, what we all do that, but we also take to the airways, right? So, and then for that's social media now, right? And so you'll see this group sound off on each other's stuff, and what that does for everybody is, you can't buy enough press in this world, right? You really can't. And the more you get from friends that tell other friends, that benefits us all, right? So I think that's where the ROI is most powerful, is if you see people in here that you love what they do, maybe you're not going to do business with them, maybe it's later, maybe it's never, but if you're a fan of their work, share it, right? I think that's where the real ROI is, because then you're sharing it, your network gets it, they get the benefit of it, and we're just going to keep going, and that's where you're going to get some real ROI.
It's also a really good way to make friends.
Yes.
Kind of leading on from that exact topic, actually, I think we should just talk for a second about PR, because I feel like it's one of the most underutilized tools, because it's free, and it's great when you have a network and relationships. It really helps that ROI build. So as you think about a show like this, coming to a show like this, and from both sides, from the exhibitors, from the attendees, I'm looking for advice about how to use PR, and you can choose what kind of angle you want to take on what public relations is, to really enhance your return and your experience and your networking here at the show.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to just keep going on the social media bit. I think that those are really easy to do, whether you choose Twitter or Facebook or Instagram. The coolest thing about this industry is we do love what each other does, and we celebrate how cool the products are that we do. And so I think the more you share things that you just see that are really awesome, it helps to spread that news, right? There's so many people in the industry who are not here, but the chances are it's less than 6 degrees of separation, right? So if you share something awesome, somebody in that network who isn't here is going to be able to see it and capitalize on it because they saw it.
It's PR. PR for me is just getting the word out, right? Getting the word out about your business. And if you are somebody who is walking by every booth and avoiding every vendor possible, or you're a vendor who's sitting in your chair looking at your phone, or you're back to people and not engaged, you're not getting any kind of word of mouth out, right? Or I guess we have service providers and people who maybe are gonna, be tired, I don't know, but I feel like it's just getting the word out. And if that means you're talking about yourself, which is really sometimes very hard to do, or if you are going to talk about a friend's business, it's just helping spread as much information as you can out and be of value to the people that you're talking to.
I think the prep work, again, going to what Phil was saying earlier, is really critical in terms of the PR that you're going to be putting out there. So you can hire people to do press releases and those kinds of things and get information published. And I think a lot of individuals that I come into contact with often don't celebrate even the smallest things that can be a big win, and letting people know that. So just owning some of those things that you want to share, whether it's an introduction of a new product or just a particular new program that you're launching, go ahead and write that press release, and if you're not comfortable doing that, then hire a professional to make that happen and go ahead and submit it. And don't be afraid to let people know what is going on and also what's going on within your network too. Because when you are celebrating others as well, people are more drawn into what you're doing.
I think taking advantage of the media rooms as well as the new product section. Sometimes it can be a stretch, it's one more thing to do, or you do both, it's two more things to do, but it's worth the effort, because the new product section, there's so many people, that's the first place they go in this building, and they go from there, and that helps them make their decision what new things they're gonna see. And then the media room, I've had in the past, not been taking advantage of that, and so Sean always kind of took to share me that really is a great place. And so I know all these press people go there and they're looking for fun things, they're looking for new stories. So take the time, write the press release, put together a nice little packet, and put in there, because you never know what's going to come from that. But you'll meet some great people.
I would say don't underestimate the power of a beautifully printed piece. Something that is just dripping with gooey, wonderful design and beautiful photographs, because they're going to be noticed, they're going to be passed around, people are going to remember them because you're in a sea of mediocre. There's a lot of just right out there, and if you can just stand above that, even just a little bit, printed on a thicker sheet of paper or a more unique piece of paper, or just beautiful photographs, beautiful artwork that is going to catch someone's eye, it really does make a big difference.
Okay, well, PR, that's a really interesting question for me, because that was the degree I got. And I just launched GNP Digital because I'm making a point to my clients and to my profession that where it's really happening is in the digital world. And it's not free, okay? We're using the term earned and unearned. So what I would suggest is that, yes, you need to go in the press room, you need to understand about what's going on there, but you really need to understand what is going on in those social media channels. So I think it's good that we all pat each other on the back and we do, engage in the social media channels, but you really do need to understand what's going on in those channels. And there's, to that point, there is free information online, but you really need to educate yourself about that. And so that's why I'm here to, help talk with people and network with people. And it's a very, very exciting time, but it is changing a lot.
Well, I'm all for hiring help because I'm not a PR expert, and I love working with the experts like Whitegate PR and others. They have taught me so many things, and to have a team member who's an expert in the field of PR will pay off 100 times over.
I think there's a quote from, Bill Gates that said, if I had $1 left, I'd spend it on PR. And I think that's, it's a good quote. And following on what these guys said, I came to the show as press, and I've spent a good amount of time in the press room, and I can echo several of these sentiments. One of them is, do something beautiful because it stands out, because when you stand across from that table and you see, by the way, only about 100 press kits with 1,000 vendors who are here, so that tells you something. The other thing is, it's all white with black text on it, but the things that have color, the things that are beautiful, they really do jump out. So that's all really great advice. And then from the digital side and from the social side, I don't know if you know, but the sort of official hashtag of Superzoo is hashtag SZ17. And I've been using that a lot throughout the show, and I've seen a lot of uptake in followers from people who are scrolling through that feed. So if you are an attendee and you want to get, network and, play around with hashtags like that to get seen and to get picked up and to build some of those relationships. So, I think we'll do one more question, and then we've got plenty of time for networking. And definitely make sure that you visit these tables around the side here. These are the vendors, and they're here to have conversations with you for free, and a lot of these people pay a lot and charge a lot for their time, so definitely use them while they're here. So the last question, and this is kind of along the lines of what we were just talking about, is, obviously, I don't know if you know this, but there are 4 miles of booths here at Superzoo this year. 4 miles. Those of you who are counting your steps probably know that. But that's a lot of noise. That's a lot of busy. That's a lot of gray, mediocre sometimes. It's also a lot of really amazing standout stuff as well. So my question would be both from the point of view of someone walking and taking in the show and as someone who has prepared and set up a booth. What are some tips you think to stand out or be seen or to make life a little bit more clear or simple or comfortable for the people who are trying to notice you?
Well, choosing your booth space, for one, I call this corner booth, because I love corner booths, and if at all possible, go to the 10 by 20, because the 10 by 10 is tough to work in, and if you can upgrade, it makes all the difference, not just for you, but for the people who are coming to see you. And the second thing I would say is carpet squares. If you're going to invest money in your booth, invest in some flooring that is really comfy and that you can add to and grow your booth too. And that will pay off with having not so sore feet at the end of the day. And also people will come to your booth because you have a really nice padded booth and they'll stay long. And then third tip is zip ties. It's really important to have a toolbox. Have a toolbox because, tape, scissors, all the things that you're going to need. Other people come to your booth to borrow, and that is a great way to network, is by loading out your zip ties. We're always learning things out. It's led to some really nice relationships. Fourth is sticker shock when it comes to shipping and drayage. Remember, you're paying probably as much, and sometimes more, to move what you ship in from the dock to your booth. And then it's like, oh, really? At the end of the day, it's like, wait, but I just shipped this from Seattle, and now they're going to charge me again. So when you're starting out, all those terms, it's really important to know your shipping terminology. And again, if you're relaxed at your booth and you know that, you don't have this feeling of sticker shock, you greet people differently if you're more relaxed and together. And then the last tip is, 2 words, print panic. Because has anybody here had last minute print jobs that you had to get done for your booth? Well, a few of us do. And just know where if you can come with all your materials that you need, it really does pay off. Because you're not running around that last minute trying to get everything done.
Okay, I'm not exhibiting at this show, but I'm going to give a little shout out to Dana from Whitegate PR. Telling me about PR People Network. She's taping me for Facebook Live, so there you go.
One of the biggest things that's standing out to me as I watch the show are the brands who are really telling me the story of what they do just by looking at them. It's absolutely amazing to see these brands who put so much into it. Just the feeling, the textures, the levels, the beautiful art, the photography, the colors, use of just different textures. It's really beautiful. So putting together a booth that is really cohesive and truly fits with your brand identity, that can give people that split-second feeling of exactly what it is that you do, can make a huge difference as someone passing you by or stopping.
Because we're a cleaning product, we like to keep a clean booth and not just untidy, but just so that there's white space and so people can come in and relax. And we do find people will come to our booth, you just kind of step in, we have that comfy floor, and just to relax and let down. There's a lot of visual and there's so much stimulation here. So it's kind of nice to give people a respite. So that's what we try to do.
Great. One of the things that we started doing was to come 2 days early, which was the setup for into 2 days, which made it much easier, more relaxed, and give something was forgotten, and we could take care of that quite easily without the stress and the pressure. I agree very much with what everybody said. I will concur with what you were saying, Tara, that just being able to tell your story in an instant, there's just so much to look at, and you do need to be able to capture their attention, and they do need to understand what you're about instantly. And then having that clean, open appeal for people to come in is very inviting and calming as well.
And the question was about standing out. Are you ready? There's been a lot of good tips. I totally agree with the first person about 10 by 20. I'm like, check the debt this year. And I was, oh, okay. One of the things that we did in our booth this year, which was bringing, my brand and what I do, is we ordered fresh flowers. I have 3 big bouquets of fresh flowers that were delivered because I love fresh flowers. And I thought that would show, well, I love it, but I also think that brings that warmness, that comfort, that we're throwing a party at my business, and so that's why I did that. But I guess that would probably be and the imagery is so important. We've got a big picture of a dog from my old store, and everything we've all said is exactly right. And taking advantage of the showcase, press room, those are opportunities that are provided to us from this association that you're putting on the event. You also tap into all of those little things to be seen and heard over and over and over. What is it they say, like, if you see something 3 times, I mean, you're the marketing person, you would know.
27.
27. But I guess we needed to work even harder. But yeah, just be unique, be yourself.
I was hard being open. I think that in addition to all of this, which these are really great tips, I'm not exhibiting. Thankfully, I get to walk the show, but when I have, I think the one thing that is really cool is if you give the people who are visiting your booth the confidence that you're going to do the follow-up for them. Because I don't know if you felt that already, but everyone that you meet, you give a card to. I've been making fun of because I brought out cards, but I give away my cards, right? And so I review all my cards, and you realize, like, oh my god, I don't remember. There's a handful of cards that I don't remember who these people are for. Yeah, right. Like,
we post online.
Yeah.
We post notes on our booth.
yeah, we take notes and everything, but I think if you're at the booth, if you can find a way to connect with that person and then give them the confidence that it's okay. I know you're going to hit another 4,000 booths. Yeah, I'm going to seek permission for you. I'm going to follow up with you, and then I'm going to give you some pulse notes from the meeting that we just had. That'll help them come to life. Like a really great touch, I think it came from you, was, for instance, taking a selfie with that person. Because they would have hit 3,000 booths. But if you take a selfie with them, 1, you have proof they actually hit your booth. And then 2 is you get that touch, right? So they'll dial back into that experience they had at your booth that they had with amazing imagery, with the unique experience, with the comfortable floors, and that's going to help you convert all that much more because you were able to replicate the experience in your booth 2 weeks later when they're at their desk, right?
Awesome stuff, you guys. Okay, so we're going to do one quick lightning round, which is going to consist of 1 word, and then we're going to be done so that these guys can mob you and ask you all the questions. So the question is, what attitude should you have going into a show like this? And it could be for an attendee or an exhibitor. I want 1 word, and I don't want anyone to duplicate. Tick, 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 tick.
Fortitude.
Positive.
Energetic.
Perky.
Open.
Friendly.
Thank you guys so much for sharing your genius with us. And again, do visit these booths. Attack these guys and ask them questions. That's why they're here. If you want to win an iPad, sign up with these guys over here and enjoy the food and drink. Thank you.